All right, I'll try to make this quick. So these were my notes for the Stars Wild series before it began. And as you can read the details here, but here I said Stars in 6, but Wild in 7 has some legs, leading Stars. The reason why I thought Stars would win in 6, the main reason is that the Stars entering the series were 8-4 against the Wild in the playoffs, and Dallas Stars equals 1-2-6. And I also saw that, they could get their 141st playoff win as the Dallas Stars, which is the 46th semi-prime. And St. Paul MN equals 46. St. Paul, Minnesota equals 199 to 46th prime. And I saw that Glenn Gulletson would improve to 4-6 in the playoffs if the Stars won in 6 games. However, as we know, the Stars, I'll go back to them later, the Stars are now trailing 3-2, which means the second option that I had, which was Wild in 7, looks a lot more alive as Stars in 6. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. If the Wild were to win in 7, we would see that the Stars would fall to, so that would mean the Stars would win Game 6 tomorrow in Minnesota, then lose Game 7 in Dallas, Texas. The Stars would fall to 11-8 against the Wild in the playoffs all time. Dallas, Texas equals 118. The Wild would get their 40th playoff win. Stars equals 40. And Glenn Gulletson, who's right now 2-7 in the playoffs, he would fall to 3-8. Minnesota equals 38. And as I've said before, we know that, well, I should say, we know that there's a chance the Wild can get the 52nd playoff win all time if they do win the Stanley Cup this year. And Minnesota equals 52. Super Bowl 52 was held there. 52 is a big number in that state. But yesterday, that's not it. Yesterday, when the Stars lost, they fell to 5-2 all time on April 28th as the Dallas Stars. And again, Minnesota equals 52. And if we go to the series here, let's go to NHL scores, you will see that Game 7 will end if Game 6 tomorrow, and then Game 7 will be on 5/2 if the Stars win tomorrow. And that would make a lot of sense because right now road teams are 3-2 in this series. So if the Stars won tomorrow, road teams would be 4-2, and if the Wild won Game 7, road teams would be 5-2 in the series, with Minnesota winning their 40th playoff win all time. Stars equals 40 on 5/2. Minnesota equals 52. That would make a lot of sense. If the Stars do win their next 2 games to stay alive and move on to the next round, they will be 12-7 against the Wild all time in the playoffs. We do know that Minnesota has a lot of 9/11 connections. Like we know Minnesota equals 110, just like Osama bin Laden, because remember they're the Twin Cities, and they got the Twin Towers. The Wild do not play in Minneapolis, but Minneapolis, which is the capital of sorry, it's not the capital, it's the larger of the 2 Twin Cities. That equals 127. I remember the last time that a major sports team from Minnesota won their title was the 1991 World Series. That finished on 10/27. Remember, zeros don't mean anything in numerology, so it's like, that's a lot like 127. And I believe this was their 31st season in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. How do I find out? Yeah, it was their 31st season in Minnesota, and 127 is the 31st prime. Right, okay, so the 127 rituals, while it is interesting, I think it plays better with Minneapolis, and the Wild do not play in Minneapolis, and Game 7 is obviously going to be in Dallas, not Minnesota. So we'll see what happens there, but I'm thinking, I'm now thinking that this, yeah, and then the Stars could get their 216th all-time playoff loss at home at the American Airlines Center, which equals 16. You know what's interesting is we know next season is the 110th. Next season is the 110th NHL season. And if you watched my playoff preview live stream that I did almost 2 weeks ago, I said maybe Minnesota. If Minnesota does get it this year, getting their 52nd playoff win, perhaps next year is perhaps next year it could be the Stars' year. American Airlines equals 110. But yeah, there's still a lot left to see. I am thinking that here. Okay, here's what's interesting. Quinn Hughes. I've talked about him a lot. I mean, I made a video on him here on his trade. You know, I'm kind of wishing it, for those of you that had to take like the SAT or the ACT when you're in high school to get into college. I know I had to take both tests a couple of times because there's this thing that you can do where you like what's called super scoring, where like because there's like 3 different areas within each test, and you can like take your best score from take your best score from the area and like submit them to the colleges. And then it's kind of funny because I ended up going to a school that didn't that only accepted the ACT. Well, I guess they accepted the SAT, but they didn't look at SAT scores. But okay, that's a story for another time. But anyways, the analogy I'm trying to make is I wish I could kind of super score these 2 predictions. Now, it's possible the Stars will still advance, but it's not really looking that way right now. But yeah, I could say, I could take all my Wild riddles from this prediction, all my Buffalo riddles from this position. We'll see. We'll see. It still might end up being this, unlikely to be this. In my playoff preview live stream that I did 11 days ago, I did talk more about Stars Sabres. I'm just saying. But okay. Where was I? Okay, yes, I was going to talk about Quinn Hughes. So from the day Quinn Hughes was traded until May 2nd, which is the day of Game 7, that is 141 days. And as I was showing you earlier, 141 is the 46th semi-prime. You see there? And it's also 20 weeks in 1 day. That's that infamous 201. I do actually want to see how many days after his birthday it was, because that might be... so it's a span of 201 days after his birthday. And what about until his next birthday? 165. I'm not sure what the significance of 165 is right now, but I'm sure it means something. But yeah, I think that 5-2 date, that would be very symbolic for the Wild to advance on that date. Span of 201 days after Quinn Hughes' birthday. So that would be, yeah, 139 days of 34th prime. But yeah, 141. So yeah, the 14th was the day he played his first game. The 12th was the day he was traded. 141 days. And if we go back and watch that video, I did talk about the number 141. And then remember, his brother scored the game-winning goal in the Olympic gold medal game 1 minute and 41 seconds into overtime. Yeah, what was it? So the first game was 6-2, or the score was 6-2. That was span of 62 days after his birthday. The Stanley Cup final could start on 6/2. What else do I have in here? Yeah, that's right. So he was traded for Zeke Boyum, who was born on 12/7. So there's that 127 again. What else we got? So that was Williams' first goal. Here we talk about George Floyd, 119. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention was the death of this guy, John Garrett, just died the other day. He died a span of 52 days before his birthday, just to show you here. Span of 52 days before his birthday. We just said Minnesota equals 52. And another thing I was going to mention, if the Wild do win in 7, remember the Minnesota North Stars were the team that moved to Dallas to become the Stars. That equals 118, and the Stars fall to 11-8 against them in the playoffs. So that's something to look at. But yeah, John Garrett, look at the first team he played for was the Minnesota Fighting Saints of the WHA, which was the league that it coexisted with the NHL until the late 70s, and a few of the remaining teams were absorbed by the NHL as the Jets, Oilers, Nordiques, and Whalers. Yeah, I think that's interesting that first team he played for was Minnesota. He died in a span of 52 days before his birthday, so something to think about. And also I guess I should look at we should look at the Avalanche, because the winner of this series is going to play the Avs. The Avs swept their first round, so they have 59 wins on the season. Minnesota Wild equals 59. So it'd make a lot of sense if the Wild won one of their next two to advance to play the Avalanche, who have 59 wins. Makes a lot of sense to me, but we shall see. I'll post this video and then we'll see what happens tomorrow and Saturday. Catch you guys later.